Boom! Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much for checking in with me on a nice summer day uh, in the New York area. I don't know what it's like in your area, but it's really nice outside today. Um, Spook Round 4Q, you are first in the building as usual. Um, And Spook Realm always comes with the public announcement. If you ain't a jive turkey, which I hope most of you are not, I hope all of you are not. If I know there's some in some of them that's gonna be watching. Epic True Story about the name is Kenny. Yes, please pick up the book. The link is in the description below if you don't already have it. And please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. Um, Rosemel says, RIP Malcolm-Jamal Warner, fellow hip hop fanatic. I'm going to talk about him in a second, but yes, RIP to him. Um, John Walker, what up? Abel Valdez, what up? That's an interesting question. Abel Valdez says, Peace, Kenny. Let me make this bigger so I can see. Why you wear those glasses? So I can see. I don't wear glasses, but I made it too big. Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to leave it like that because I can't get it back. All right, I'm gonna leave it like this. It says, Peace, Kenny. To your knowledge, is it just American record companies who are shady and scumbags, or do they screw artists in other countries the same way they do in this country? I'm pretty sure that they screw artists in other countries like they do here. I would not know, although most record companies, especially the major ones in America, have affiliate companies in Europe for sure. Um, I know when BDP was signed to Jive Records, there was also a Jive Records in the UK. And I know that sometimes you can be on one label in America and be on a completely different label overseas, depending on how the deals work out. But ultimately, the splits are still the same. And as long as the splits are still the same, 90-10, then F them too, is my opinion. It's not like these other countries aren't doing 90-10 or even 80-20. It's the same splits. Um, so yeah, I would say they're jerking too. And in some countries, like say Jamaica, the reggae world, dumb dudes don't even they might have had it even worse than American artists. A lot of those guys perform for no royalties, no paperwork. I remember real quick, I was when I was working with Heather B in the 90s, shout out to Heather B, prominent Jamaican producer and DJ, I'm not gonna say his name, done a ton of stuff. If I said his name, everybody would know who he is. Approached me in the street. I saw him in the streets in New York and was like, yo, I want to do a record with Heather, you and Heather and me. He said, but no paperwork though. No paperwork. I said, I'll get back to you. I remember I went to Heather and I was like, yo, guess who I saw who wanted to do a record? It said no paperwork. And we started laughing. That became a joke amongst us. No paperwork. You know it. If somebody tells you up front, and you know what? At least I respect that. You know what? I'm gonna respect his shady because he told me from the jump in the street, let's do some music to put out, but no paperwork. Means I'm jerking, we jerking, a handshake, ain't no money. After we get the whatever initial money I give you, it's never going to be traced back to anyone. At least he was upfront about it. Um, American companies have paperwork, which probably makes it worse. I don't know if it makes it better or worse, but it probably makes it worse because when you go to court, you signed the paperwork that got you jerked. Anyway, I'm not going to do a record company rant today unless y'all force me into it with these kind of questions. Great question, though. Floetry One, what up? Gregory Nettis says, yo, Kenny, that wake up beat is awesome. Thank you so much. You made a Nas the GOAT Illmatic beat without even knowing it. Word up, son. Thank you. As part of my beat series that I'm putting up beats once a week probably for you guys to check out. And I'm starting with the older tracks. That beat that I made, that beat is probably made around the time of Stillmatic. And it was one of those beats that the disc wouldn't load. Remember, I know most of you guys that watch the live, seen all the lives, I'm assuming. And when we were doing the SP1200 live series, which I might do that again, but it's easier for me to just put the beats up here. But some of the beats wouldn't load. Some of the discs wouldn't load. So there's a way that you can load them, but you have to load every individual sound until you can find the sound that's corrupt. It's a whole process. And so those were one of the beats that wouldn't load that day that I got to load up eventually was the beat I call Wake Up. So if you haven't got a chance to listen to it, please check it out. And if anybody wants to rock to it or cut to it or pick it up or whatever, the link is in the description. In that, the link is in that description. All right. Let's see. Supreme Divine, John Walker, what up? Floetry One says KP beats are fire. Thank you, Floetry One. I'm just getting started playing you guys some stuff. Gregory Nettis says best clothing line ever is. I'm gonna go with, for me, I needed the big and tall sizes, so I'm going Sean John was the best clothing. Sean John had the best big and tall clothes out. Period. Ralph Lauren, Polo had some nice big and tall, super expensive. Their selection was nice, but I think Sean John really had the best. Corey Flood, what's up? Rosmel says Malcolm was in the Kwame's "The Man You Love and Hate" music video with Spinderella and Kid and Play. I didn't realize that. Malcolm, let's talk about Malcolm-Jamal Warner. I saw the news, I'm sure as everybody did yesterday, of his passing. Tragic accident. I met Malcolm-Jamal Warner once. I think I mentioned it for those that got a chance to see my Epic Fails Yankee Stadium. I know all of you guys saw it on this channel. I did it like 2 years ago, maybe a little over. Epic Fails Yankee Stadium. And I talked about, we opened up for Nelson Mandela, Boogie Down Productions at Yankee Stadium. And when we performed, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was on the stage, sitting on the side of the stage, like sitting literally like with his legs hanging over the stage by the speaker, rocking out to BDP. He knew every word to every song. And when Love's Gonna Get You came on, which was our new single at the time, he lost it and rocked out to that. And then we met him afterwards. Super hip hop fan. I believe he directed Special Ed's video. I think it's Let's Do It. Come on, let's do it. Dun, 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 dun. I think he directed that. I just saw that he was dancing in Houdini's video, Funky Beat, Funky Beat. He was dancing in that. He's just a true hip hop head. And so I feel like as for hip hop, we have lost a brother in Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And from all accounts, he seemed like a very cool guy, excellent actor. And this really hurts my generation who grew up watching the Cosby Show, because not only was the Cosby Show the #1 watch show for years on television and one of the most watched shows of all time, but what it presented to America was a view of Black America that wasn't the typical stereotype. You had an upper middle class family with a doctor and a lawyer as parents, and they taught family values on that show. Not only did they teach family values to the children, but also to America. And that show was a pillar of what entertainment can be. And like I said, it captured the Black experience from a different angle, uh, because most of the imagery that we see on television about my culture is negative. And, for people that grew up in the hood, it's not all like that. What you see, what they show you is a small percentage of what actually goes on in the hood, like most communities. Um, I remember one time I saw a rapper, famous rapper, in an interview, and they asked him, why do you rap about the streets and glorify the streets like that? And he says, I just rap about what I see. When I look out the window, all I see is pimps and number runners and drug dealers. So that's what I rap about. And I was thinking to myself, I grew up in that same hood that this rapper grew up in. Matter of fact, I lived about 10 blocks away from him. 10 New York City blocks away. That's about half a mile walking distance. I used to walk past his neighborhood, his block all the time. I'm a little bit older than this rapper, but I lived in his neighborhood at the same time as him. So I'm very familiar with not only his neighborhood, but multiple hoods in New York City that I lived in. And when you look out the window, that's not all you see is pimps and number runners and drug dealers. That's not all you see. If you look out the window, you wake up in the morning and you look out the window in most hoods. I'm going to speak for most hoods. I'm from New York, but I think I can speak for most hoods. You will see a bunch of people going to work in the morning, kids going to school, kids in uniform, kids not in uniform with backpacks. You'll see people delivering, back then was delivering newspapers, delivering bread, people opening up stores, all kind of things going on. The mailman, firemen, and pimps, drug dealers, and number runners, all of that you would see. So what this rapper to me probably should have answered the question was, I rap about what I choose to focus on or what I think will sell when I look out my window. And I bring that around to say the Cosby Show showed us, showed America a different side of the Black community. And we got to know those characters like they were our own family. And so Theo Huxtable was like our brother. And 54 years old is still very, very young in the scheme of life expectancy, and it's just a tragedy. And I'm gonna say rest in peace to his family, uh, and to the hip hop community, to the Hollywood community. He'll never be forgotten, and the character that he played set the standard. All right. I also see um John Walker mentioned this. Ozzy's final appearance was less than a month ago. Ozzy Osbourne passed today. I saw that as well. Rock legend. I'm not into rock music that much at all. Um, Never listened to like Black Sabbath or any of those kind of groups or Ozzy Osbourne. I could not tell you one song that he sings. Maybe if you play it for me, I might be able to recognize it, but um, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, recently inducted, I do believe, and rightfully so for his contribution to music. And then he became a reality star, and his kids were stars. Um, and it's a loss. He was a giant in the rock world and an icon. Although I'm not familiar with his music, I know he was a giant. And I'm going to say rest in peace to him as well and to his family. Um, and he lived a very wild life. He passed at 76. I'm amazed that he got to 76. Um, Spook Realm says Ozzy knew he was heading out. Really? Um, okay, let's move on. Patrick Y, what up? G Doyle, half of the brothers in the building. Um, let's see. My Eagle Wolf, what up? Listening from Selah, Washington. Um, Bruce Kennedy, what up? Mike Rocks 25 Music, what up? MMA Crossfire, what up? Um, let's see. GF Worrell, what up? Worrell, am I saying Worrell? Worrell? Geoff Worrell? I need a proper pronunciation. I be butchering people's names on here. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just, the love is still there, man. Um, Terrence Hill, what up, my brother? Um, let's see. Let's see. Gregory Netta says, Carl Kanai, best clothing for the 1990s. Carl Kanai clothes were dope too. Um, I just couldn't really see, for me, I couldn't really fit a lot of that stuff. I had some cross colors before. I wore cross colors top, like a jacket, like a pullover jacket on MTV Raps. Um, have I ever had Carl Kanai? I had a Carl Kanai top, yeah. First time I met the Notorious B.I.G., he was wearing a Carl Kanai shirt. I remember that. Um, I'm still going with Sean John. Mike Rock says Fever versus Liberty, 8 p.m. Yes, Liberty got a huge player today. Emma Meeseman, one of my all-time favorites. Uh, they might be a lock to win it all. Fever playing without Caitlin Clark today. Those groin injuries, man. I had a groin injury. It just lingers and lingers and lingers. And just when you feel like you're getting better, you could do one thing and it sets you back weeks, man. Anybody out there ever had a groin injury? It just drags on and on and on. And the only thing you can do is rest it. And it heals whenever it feels like it. Um, Ilroy says original lyrics, original lyrics, original lyrics, Kenny Parker on the mix. I was in the studio for that song, even though I did not mix on that song. And KRS produced it. That beat was dope, by the way. I've ruined that album. James Thomas Jr. Ozzy had Parkinson's. Oh, okay. So They kind of knew the end was near. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I did not know that. Um, Thank you. CMC's Techniques in Class. Thank you once again, as usual, for your contribution to the channel. You help the channel run. Trust. Says up, KP. I was lucky to witness Malcolm's neo soul band perform live in North Carolina in the mid 2000s. Plus, Malcolm played the bass guitar and was spectacular. Word? Did not know he was a musician, but you know, talented people like that, sometimes the talent spills over into other venues. Wonder if he got nice residuals off the Cosby Show. I know due to the legal troubles of Mr. Cosby, that show will probably never air again. And all of those residuals got shut. That residual door got shut. But yeah, I did not know he played the bass. That was dope. KB Play, thank you so much. I really appreciate your contribution to the channel. Says KP, as a fellow big and tall guy, I say Sean John. Yes. If you were big and tall, Sean John had nice variety of clothes that didn't look like Frankenstein clothes. Plus, once you found your size in Sean John, all the clothes fit. You didn't really have to even try them on. Once you knew your size, you could just grab anything Sean John in that size and throw it on, and you knew it would fit right. And that's not always the case with a lot of clothing. MK Ultra, what's up? JT, what up? Chef Daddy, what up? Sydney Rhodes, what up? Sweet Goldilocks, hey. Ned Edit Fisher said, yo, what up, KP? Was just listening to Dante's Ross's book. It's great. Have you read it? No, I have not. I've seen pieces of it, excerpts of it. But congratulations to him. I had spoke to him, got some advice about some book advice from him about my book after like marketing. He answered the question that I had. Very gracious. Shout out to Dante Ross. Yeah, he has a great story. Let's see. DJ Platform 204 says, hey, Kenny, what's up? You going to Scratch Bastard's barbecue event? Didn't know anything about it. Going down this weekend. Preem, DJ A-Track, DJ Arena, Knife One, they're gonna be there. Sick lineup. Where is it gonna be? I had no idea. And I'm far behind too. Let me try to move quickly. Daryl Thomas, what up? Mike Rocks 25 says, pay us what you owe us. Here talking about the WNBA. I'm not going to get into that controversy about, maybe I should. We'll see. About WNBAs looking like they're going to strike next year because they're trying to get the money for from this new CBA. And there's a lot of people online hating on them, like they taking money out their pocket, like they don't deserve money, blah, blah, blah. If you see the breakdown of the money, they actually do. Michael from Mortis says, Sound of the Police is featured heavily in the Naked Gun trailer. Is that all going to jive? No, only the master ownership. There's two ways to get money, publishing and master ownership. So now I'm not sure if all of KRS-One's masters have gone back to him. Not sure how that worked. But if whoever owns the masters, I'm assuming Jive, gets money for you using their master recording. And then whoever wrote the song, which would be Showbiz and KRS, I believe, I don't know who else got publishing on there. I believe those two would get a chunk of the publishing. But know that it's a nice check. You're talking tens of thousands of dollars is going to get passed around. Publishing is the gift that keeps on giving. Patrick Wise says your next beat should be titled No Paperwork. That's a good idea, and I think I will title my next beat I put up is going to be called No Paperwork. No paperwork in the middle of the street in New York City. That made even more shade. Not only did he say no paperwork, but we were standing on the sidewalk in the street while he's saying this to me with a straight face. And this person has worked with dozens of artists. So I'm imagining that all of these artists that he worked with, none of them had paperwork. Yo, KP, LOL, yes, you finally got my name right last week. My name is pronounced Daynell. Dang. But you can call me D Free for short. Now I'm not gonna remember. I'm gonna forget that. I'm gonna forget to pronounce your name right too. But I'm working on this because you've been here since the beginning. I do believe Daynell the Dawn Freeman. Thank you. Rasul Hassan, what's up? What up, DJ Kenny Parker? Let's talk about the greatest misses, like Russell not thinking Nas was going to do anything, or Jim Jones not feeling Drake and didn't sign him. Um, well, the music industry is littered with these kind of stories. Every single artist and every song, big songs you hear, the label that it came out on is not the first label that it was presented to. Every artist, just about, the label that they're on was the second or third or fourth or fifth choice. Multiple people had a chance to sign Wu-Tang Clan. Sony Records heard the Chronic done as we heard the Chronic and passed on it. The Chronic done. We can go on and on and on and on. But yeah, there's a bunch of great. We could pick greatest misses. But you could pick any artist, and they could tell you stories. I've heard quite a few. Of course, BDP, KRS-One was supposed to sign a major label deal after Criminal Minded album. And when Scott passed, the deal got canceled because the record label felt like Scott was the leader of the group. And without Scott LaRock, there's no group. So they passed on KRS-One, who wrote the whole Criminal Minded album. They passed. We can go on and on. I've heard all kind of stories, B. I wish I knew more. I wish I had more artists. You know what? And I'm going to incorporate that question, Rasul, into my interviews. I'm going to ask for the guests that I have coming up, who passed on your project? Because that's a great question to hear who they presented it to and who listened to it and said, nah. MC Shan mixed Rakim's first single with Marley Marl, and they heard Rakim rhyme, and they went out in the hallway. Shan went out in the hallway and started laughing. He heard Check Out My Melody and was laughing. We can go on and on and on. Don't recognize this name, Orrin Hamilton. What's up, DJ Kenny Parker? You new to the channel? Big up. Um, let's see. CMC says, call can I always. Um, let's see. Patrick Wise says, totally agree with Sean John, big and tall. I'm 6'2". Mecca also has some button downs in the mid 90s. I remember Mecca. Yeah, Sean John, big and tall. See, I can't comment on the other ones because I couldn't really fit it. I know Carl Kanai was big. What's up with Fubu? Was Fubu dope? I never had Fubu. You know what I did have though? Remember those hoodies with the historical black colleges on the front? Remember those when those was hot? We had bunches of those. The people who were promoting those hoodies gave BDP a bunch of them. I had probably like 6 different ones. Um, those were dope hoodies. I wish they would bring those back. Those were dope hoodies, man. Danelle says, the OKP, were you around when Chris had produced Just Ice classic Cool and Deadly album? I did an interview with Just Ice on this channel. Please go check it out. We talk about when we were in the studio. To answer your question, I was around for one song called Mash It Up. And I always tell this story for those that know the song. The rhymes that KRS did on Mash It Up, the last verse, was different. When I was in the studio, he did a different rhyme than the one that came out on the album. And I used to have that on a cassette. I had a cassette from the studio he gave me with a different rhyme, and he changed it. And I loved that rhyme so much that when he was doing Return of the Boom Bap, I begged him to say that rhyme again. And 8 bars of that rhyme is on Return of the Boom Bap. And it still sounded dope. Now keep in mind, he did Just Ice in 87. And he recorded Return of the Boom Bap in 93. So you're talking 6 years later, the rhyme still sounded dope. I'm not going to say what rhyme it was, but it's on Return of the Boom Bap, and it still sounded dope 6 years later. And it's on there because I begged Chris, whatever happened to this rhyme? Please say it, please, please, please. So I don't know if it was because of me. I'm going to say it's because of me because I was beating him down about it. Flochi says, I like some early Woo wear. Forgot about Woo wear. Philly She says Malcolm did the Magnificent and Come On Let's Move It videos for special ed. Oh, okay. I know he was dancing and Come On Let's Move It. Yeah, he was hip hop down, man. Benny Doyle, what up? Says my brother G Doyle here too. Yes, he is. Let's see. Joey Joe says, yeah, we kind of lost a cousin. Yeah, it feels like it, man. It feels like it. Cosby Show every Thursday night, 8 p.m. on NBC back in the day. Yeah, it was a huge success. Let's see. Dre Stack Dollars, what up? Patrick Wise says Sean John Pele Pele. I forgot about Pele Pele. Wow. '90s was the era of the urban clothing line. Mecca, I remember, shirts only. Rough era, I don't remember rough era. Walkaway, I remember. MMA says 8:30 Family Ties replaced but a different world. 9 p.m. Cheers, 9:30 Night Court. That's a monster lineup. Sheesh. Remember when we had just 3 channels, 3 networks, and there was so much stuff to watch? That's because only the creme de la creme got to make it to prime time. Now we have hundreds of channels and nothing is on. Booze Review says, what up, Kenny Parker? Rewind crew in the building, second week in a row. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. I love you all. We got a rewinder that's live. Tatiana Johnson, what's up? Says, Kenny, who do you think would win if KRS-One battles Supernatural? Wow, I think Supernatural is the greatest freestyler that I've ever seen. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is the best I've ever seen. So if they battled, it depend on, to me, if it was a written versus a freestyle. I think if it was a written, I would give it to KRS. I think if it was a freestyle, I'd give it to Super Nat. What up, Nat? Mike Rock says, most of us grew up in similar neighborhoods, and I used to rap about getting girls. All good. I mean, you could rap about whatever you want to rap about. I mean, I'm not the rap police. It's just that, like I say, the overwhelming image of the hood that's presented to America is one small piece. And I wish with the imagery, and we talk about the imagery from back in the day, the imagery now is unbelievable of things that's on television, that's on award shows. I wish a show like The Cosby Show or A Different World could come on now and show a different side. I don't know if it would work now because the attention span of the audience is so short and everybody is just looking for controversy to get that quick dopamine. So everything has to be shock value. Fighting or cursing or screaming or something or disrespect or something. I don't know if a show like The Cosby Show would work now, but I wish there was something like that to show a different side. Patrick Wise says, MK Ultra, I'm surprised most rock and roll guys made it past 50. Me too. Rap, rock and roll, R&B. I'm surprised most of these guys made it out of the 80s. I saw an interview with Russell Simmons, and they were asking him a question. They asked him some question about the 80s, and he said, you know what? I don't even remember the 80s. I said, wow. Russell Simmons was a mogul and one of the people who helped shape the rap music business, the business end, for better or for worse. He was an absolute mogul that helped shape the 80s. He said he don't even remember the 80s. So imagine what he was doing. Um, yeah, I'm surprised most of those guys even made it out. Dartmouth, what's your thoughts on the Poconos in PA? I have friends that live in the Poconos. I love. I mean, only Poconos that I know though is going to their house and back. So I can't really tell you much about the Poconos, but it seems quiet, a lot of woods. Um, I haven't seen the entertainment part of the Poconos, so I can't comment on that. I just know that where my friends live is very nice, very quiet. Um, so I liked it. I remember this. This was the urban legend. Ozzy Osbourne bit a bat on stage and spit it out, and somebody confirmed that that was true. You know how wild you have to be to do something like that? Um, let's see. Crazy Train by Ozzy has been sampled a few times in hip hop. Crazy Train, I do know. Okay, I do know Crazy Train. And I was gonna say I might know an Ozzy Osbourne song if you told me. Neved says, I feel like you would have liked Sabbath, Kenny. They have a ton of great records, and a lot of them were very conscious. Feel like some people, especially newer fans, don't pay attention to that. Oh, like I said, I have no uh knowledge of them at all. Um, that's interesting. I didn't even know there was conscious music in rock like that. And what do you call it? Heavy metal? Orrin Hamilton said it wouldn't be rock without Jimi Hendrix. Ah. Corey Flood says, Kenny, come on, you know Black Sabbath, Iron Man. Come on, man, you a DJ, you know that song. Maybe if I heard it, like I said, I didn't follow rock music at all. Uh, and there's no shame in admitting that you just don't know. If I don't know something, I don't know it. That's the purpose of this channel, to pass ideas back and forth so we all could learn. We all here trying to learn about music, especially hip hop, the music that we all love. But this channel is about passing information. So if you don't know, you don't know. So maybe I need to go listen to Iron Man. Maybe I would recognize it if I heard it. Joey Joe says, I agree, KP. I'm surprised Ozzy lasted this long. Yeah, what I heard, what's very well publicized about his life. Um, I'm surprised he made it. Reggie Johnson says, Sup, KP. What up? Question: do you listen to music differently when you're listening for pleasure versus listening for samples? Absolutely. When I'm listening for samples, I might grab an album that I don't know or I'm not familiar with, and I'm skimming through it. Sometimes samples have gone past me because I dropped the needle past where it should be and missed something. But I'm pretty good at needle dropping and skimming through records looking for something that I want. Um, But sometimes when I'm listening for pleasure, I might hear something, go, oh, and switch into sample mode. Y'all ever do that? Hear something just for pleasure and just be like, yo, that little piece right there. I've done that numerous times. I've been out and about in places like in a supermarket or anywhere where they're playing music in the background and you hear something and be like, what's that? Um, but yeah, listening for sampling, when I'm listening for samples, I'm usually like in that mode, like I would consider working on music. So I'm not listening for any pleasure at all. I'm just listening to hear something that I can put with something else. Great question. Uh, let's see. Reggie Johnson said I had the same issues. They didn't make too much stuff for big dudes. Yeah. I mean, when you go in a big and tall store, it looks like clothes from the 50s. Like, come on, man. But Sean John made it where you could go outside looking nice. MK Ultra says, Kenny, you ever say, yes, I am Magic Johnson, nice to meet you? No. We talked about this before. A lot of people think I look like Magic Johnson now, not back in the day. Um, let's see. Jack Swagger says groin injuries is a problem. Hamstrings, quads, all that pain. Yeah, you know what? Hamstrings linger alone. That's another one that you get a hammy, it lingers and it gets better. And you know what the problem with those kind of like a hammy and a groin? It gets good enough where you feel like you can play through it, and that's when you get set back. It's almost like you got to let it heal completely past the point where you don't feel anything, because you could play through it, especially a groin injury. You could kind of work your way through it, but that's only going to make it worse sometimes. I'm not a doctor. A hammy, though, you can't even move your leg. I've had all that in the past. Um, Kevin Monroe says SC1200 should be reissued for equipment collector. Yeah, they're going for like 5,000 online, 5 to 6,000. There's probably like 10 of them floating around on eBay or whatever. And they're going for like, the price has come down actually, but they're going for like 6,000. Um, DJ Platform says, hey, Kenny, recent interview with DJ Premier with Scratch Bastard. He says he's finishing up the Big Suge Premier and Nas Premier albums, so they're coming. You excited for it? Absolutely. 100%. Shout out to Big Suge. Homie, I used to see him all the time in D&D. Shout out to him. Of course, Preem is my brother. I don't know Nas. Like I said, I said in the chat, I met Nas like once or twice. I think I met Nas maybe once or twice. He was mad cool. Just, but he wasn't talkative. He just like, hey, what's up? I met him in D&D when they was working on Illmatic, matter of fact. Um, yeah. I hope that Nas premiere comes out this year. Um, let me look at this. CMCs, once again, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel again. Says Yo KP and Biz Markie's extremely heavily sampled song "Make the Music." Was Biz ever considered a beatboxer at any point, or did he did that for fun? Nah, Biz was a serious beatboxer. If I recall, Biz was Shantae's beatbox. First time I heard Biz was backing up Shantae. When she goes, I'm Shantae and he's Biz Markie. And that's what they get. He's Biz Markie on Nobody Beats the Biz. He's Biz Markie. That's Shantae from I'm Shantae, he's Biz Markie. They had a whole routine. And I also believed that Biz beatboxed for Shan a little bit in his early days. Biz used to do the make the sound like the cat. Remember, meow, 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 meow. Biz used to do all that, the Meow Mix commercial. I've Greg Nice told me one time that he met Biz in a beatbox battle. Him and Biz battled in a beatbox battle. That's how they met. So yes, Biz was a serious beatboxer. Biz was a beatboxer before he was an MC, to my knowledge. Um, let's see. Jack Swagger says Cosby show will air again after he passes. Probably, I could see that. He passes, a little time passes. I could see that. Um, Joey Joe says the Cosby Show is still in syndication on different networks. Oh, they brought it back? Because I thought it was off the air for a while. Oh, so the Cosby Show is up and running again. News to me. I know it was taken off the air for a while. Um, Philly She says the Cosby Show comes on in TV1 and Grio Network 6-7 days a week. Oh, so I was wrong. So their residuals are in effect still, which is good. Um, Gregory Netta says Fubu was good back then. I know Fubu was popular. I didn't know. I never had it. Um, Echo was good. I definitely had a couple of Echo sweatshirts. Um, let's see. Patrick Wise says, KP, you should pick up Bobito's book, Bong Bong. A nice read. Big up to Bobito. Big up to Stretch Armstrong, too. Yeah, I should pick that up. Helly Hansen. Wow. DJ Platform says, hey, Kenny, the event is in Toronto, Canada. Oh, you can start driving Friday. You'll make it up. Man, I don't know if I want to leave this country right now. Might not be able to get back in. and, and I'm a citizen for the moment. No, the answer is no. I'm still fronting. I've been so busy, played myself. Thou Art Credible says, hey KP, how heavy is your collection of reggae, dancehall, etc.? You have some dope beats of that kind over the years. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, I've digitized most of my reggae collection. My reggae collection is nice. It's nice. But a lot of stuff that I would play, not a lot of like, underground stuff, but but I have a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of reggae records over the years. And we used to rock a lot of reggae rhythms in the BDP show. So we were always looking for new rhythms to throw on. I've DJed some reggae parties. We used to perform at reggae only parties. We did a few of those parties where we would run up in the spot just 45s. No singles, no hip hop at all, just reggae rhythms. And I'd be on the rewind, and KRS be chatting for all reggae. We call it a straight reggae spot. And we've done them shows too. But yeah, my collection is okay. My collection is okay. Mike Rock says the WNBA was 50 million in the hole in 2024. I don't know if that's necessarily true. There's a whole bunch of things with those numbers, but even if they were 50 million in the hole in 2024, that has nothing to do with this new CBA that's coming. Whatever the numbers were in the past is nothing compared to this multi-billion-dollar deal that's coming for the NBA and the WNBA. And salaries are going to double and triple in the next year based on this new TV deal. It's worth billions of dollars. And I believe WNBA is about to get, if not a billion, hundreds of millions. So a lot of people, that's why these new teams, that's why there's so much expansion in the WNBA, because a lot of the owners want in. And there's a whole stack of new money coming. But the splits in the WNBA are like the splits in the record business, 90-10. And that's what they're fighting about. It's not about being 50 million in a hole. It's about new money is coming. And the NBA splits are 50-50. 50% to the players, 50% to the owners. The WNBA splits are 91% to the owners and 9% to the players. That was the split. Now, based on the fact that the WNBA, some teams were pulling a profit and some teams weren't, and the NBA subsidized some teams and all that in the past. Cool. But now there's new billions of dollars about to come. You can't tell me we're still splitting at 91.9 and we're the product. And the ratings and the viewership has been going up in the past 3-4 years. And then Caitlin Clark came and just blew the whole thing out the water. Now they're doing NBA numbers on TV. So now it's like, yo, we doing real numbers, 91.9, and you about to get $1 billion? Break me off. I'm with that argument. That has nothing to do with the money from before. VK says, no controversy. WNBA lost 40 million this year. They did not lose 40 million this year. The year's not even up yet. So what does the league owe them? WNBA has never been profitable in 30 years. Child, please. First of all, it's not 30 years. And some teams are profitable and some teams aren't. Let me ask you this question. People that are smarter than us, that own teams, real estate, arenas, and all of these things, why are they fighting to get in on the WNBA now? Let me give you some numbers. I wasn't even going to go this deep with it, but let me give you some numbers real quick. Back in the early 2000s, WNBA started in, I think the first season was 97. In the 2000s, to get a WNBA team cost $10 million. If you had $10 million and an arena, a proper size arena, you can get a team. The other day, a couple weeks ago, Connecticut Sun are selling their team. The Connecticut Mohegan Tribe is selling the Connecticut Sun. They value the Connecticut Sun team, you could look this up, at $400 million. Last week, they probably paid $10 million to get in. It's worth $400 million if you want to buy that team right now. There are 3 new teams coming in the next 3 years. A new team just came this year, Golden State. The Golden State Warriors have been around since the 60s. Ownership is very rich, very profitable, know exactly what they're doing. Bought into the WNBA, and it takes a couple years from when you purchase the team to get everything set up. So that means they bought a team 2 years ago. And they paid $100 million to get into the WNBA 2 years ago. Why would Golden State do that if the WNBA is so unprofitable and it's just losing all this money? Why would Golden State Warriors pick a new team, which, by the way, all the games are sold out for the whole year? Now, 2 new teams are coming in, Toronto and Philly. The asking price now is $250 million to get into the WNBA. $250. And 2 teams said, I'll take it. Toronto, who NBA team, and Philly, an NBA team, said, we'll take it. Why would they do that if this league is losing 40 million a year and 40 million? That's not accurate. And all of that means nothing. Whatever the league was doing in the past 25 years means nothing because this new money is coming next year. And that's what everybody wants. The way to get into this new money and this new sponsorship. So I'm with the players. All of that old talk is over. You about to get $1 billion. You cannot give me 9%. And the guys get 50. They're going to have to come up to at least 20, 25. They're going to have to come to like 25. It's going to be 75-25. It has to be. All right, that's enough talking that. But yeah, I just see everybody throwing out, they just lost $40 million a year. The payroll for the whole WNBA isn't 40 million. Why did Brooklyn buy the team from the Madison Square Garden didn't want the Liberty anymore? Brooklyn said, "We'll take it," and they bought it, and now it's worth 10 times what they paid for it. There's a reason behind this, and I'm not no mogul. I don't know anything about the sports world, but I know those numbers. Somebody's trying to get in there. Engage via our YouTube channel says, Kenny, hope you and Chris have ownership on Nervous. We've talked about that song multiple times on this channel. Trying to get it into a film, going to keep pushing on it. LOL. Well, I have no ownership on no, that's a lie. I have ownership on songs on sex and violence. That's it. And probably Sneak Attack. What else did I work on? I did a song on Chris Styles too, I think. I have no ownership. I was not even in BDP when Nervous was recorded. So that's a KRS conversation. I hope he has ownership too. I don't know how that worked with Jive. Jack Swagger says Jay-Z was passed on by all the labels. Absolutely. And he was one of the hottest dudes in New York on the underground. He was signed to Freeze Records. Yes, he was. And shout out to Will Sokoloff at Freeze Records. They don't talk about that enough. They just talk about Jay. Nobody wanted to sign Jay-Z, so he did his own thing, and then he went to Def Jam. That's not exactly how it went, because there's a Freeze Records slipped in there, but they never talk about that. Freeze Records did a great job promoting Jay-Z. MK Ultra says Tommy Boy signed House of Pain over Wu-Tang. Oh, I don't know, because House of Pain, Jump Around came out in 92. You could be right. Jump Around came out in 92, which means they probably signed Jump Around in 91. Wu-Tang dropped in 93. So yeah, I could see them shopping Wu-Tang around 91, 92. When did Prince Rakeem leave Tommy Boy? I could see that. I mean, House of Pain, that was a great decision at the moment, but it turned out to be a horrible decision down the road. I mean, House of Pain went platinum, double platinum, I believe, in 92. That's a great signing. But eventually Wu would, do even more numbers. But I don't usually post these controversial comments, but I'm gonna post this because, in fairness, Russell was right to pass on Nas. He sounded like G-Rap, and his records didn't sell. Skills just don't sell. I 100% once again disagree, Corey Flood. Nas has what, 9 platinum albums? I can't say his records didn't sell. 9 platinum albums? And if you look at Nas, when were they shopping Nas? 91? When Live at the Barbecue came out, like 91, 92? I could think of a few groups on Def Jam that they should have signed instead of Nas. I mean, that they should have signed. Instead of signing these groups, they should have signed Nas in 91. But in fairness, we will put your comment up because we respect all opinions. I don't agree with that one. Rosmel says, you're right, Kenny. Russell rejected Heavy D and Mobb Deep. Wow. Although Mobb Deep was different when they first started. They were like the youngsters almost sounding, right? They weren't like the Mobb Deep. They were little kids sounding. Then all of a sudden they sounded a little more mature, like out of nowhere. Guess that's how teenagers grow up. But um, we got see when we say somebody passed, we gotta ask what did they hear? What demo did they hear? Did they hear an artist that wasn't ready yet and they were right to pass? Or did they, like I said, did you hear the Chronic in its entirety as we heard it and passed? Um, what exactly did they hear? Um, Salute to Chris Latimer. I could not remember his name. Thank you. That was the person who had everybody in the HBCU gear, man. Chris Latimer, that's my dude. He was really good friends with Willie D of BDP. Rest in peace, my brother. And that was the connect. Chris Latimer. This is a very deep question. I don't know if we can even answer it here. It'd be all night. Why black folk always beefing with each other? What's that about? That's a multi-layered question. We would probably be that's a question that will require just that question for the whole show. Um, because there's multiple answers to me. Great question. I don't know if we could even properly give that justice right now at 9:06. BR Valentine one, what up, says those hoodies were influential, ended up going to a black college because of it. Didn't graduate though, but still. Yeah, them hoodies were everything. And this is what I'm talking about all the time too with these A&Rs. Sometimes it's not who passed on an artist or group, but who was paying the most or giving the artist the most freedom on direction or sound they wanted to make. Oh no, I meant it's not so much who passed, but who was getting a kickback is what I was gonna say. Depending on who was kicking back to who, depending on who if you would pass or not. Somebody would be like, "I'll sign you, but you got to give me back 25,000 out your budget." You might be like, "Nah," and then they might be like, "Well, I'll pass." Um, but yeah, sometimes an artist, but it's very rare for an artist to have multiple deals and they get to pick which which label they want to go to based on who would give them freedom and direction. That's not really how it was in the 90s, 2000s, 80s. If I recall, dudes was trying to get a deal by any means necessary. And the first person that says, "I'll take it," they were diving in. Um, because most of the groups were unknown. If you're an unknown artist, you didn't really have that much weight. I mean, there were certain artists who had a bidding war, like Method Man. When Wu-Tang first blew, and RZA structured the deal where certain members of the Wu-Tang, or all the members of the Wu-Tang, assigned to different labels, there was a bidding war for Method Man. He was the hottest one out first, or the one that bubbled up first. And so artists like that would have choices of what was the best fit for him. He chose Def Jam, looked like he chose correctly. Um, but for most artists, you weren't even looking for freedom of direction. You just wanted to get on. Jack Swagger says to Sydney Rose, Reasonable Doubt was on Freeze Records first, way before Priority jumped on it. Yes. But what it was Freeze Records had a distribution deal through Priority. So I don't know if they signed to Freeze and Priority decided to distribute Jay-Z once he signed to Freeze, or Freeze already had the distribution deal and whatever they put out, Priority would distribute it. But I know Freeze Records had a distribution deal through Priority. Priority. Let me jump down a little bit so I can try to catch up. I'm just jumping down. I'm way behind. How do I fall behind so fast? B.R. Valentine says Supernatural is definitely not the greatest freestyle I've ever seen. Also, I've seen Craig G live freestyling, and I can see how he could beat someone like Supernatural. I respect that opinion. He's the best. I say he's the best I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of people. I've seen Supernatural rock 15, 20,000 with just a beat and him. And I've DJ'd for him in front of thousands of people, just me and him, murdering places. Jamil Live says KRS and Supernatural already battled. I heard, and my friends told me Supernatural won. I've never heard about that battle. It's possible. I've never heard about that. I used to tease Supernatural all the time, like that, saying I was going to battle him. He used to laugh, knowing I can't rhyme to save my life. That is my brethren, though. Shout out to Supernat. Mm. Flochi One says, "Are you watching any good shows currently, KP? I need some suggestions." No, I'm all over the place. I watch documentaries mostly and YouTube. I don't even watch a lot of shows anymore. They just don't interest me. Top Boy was the last thing I probably watched. Series I watched all the way through. Top Boy was dope to me. Um, that on Netflix. That's about it. Everything else I watch is really documentaries. Terrence Hill says Fox purposely put The Simpsons to go against the Cosby Show and forced the show off the air. So The Simpsons ratings, the Cosby Show was declining, and The Simpsons ratings, because as I understand, I saw a quote from Malcolm-Jamal Warner says that we quit while we were still hot. That's what he said. I don't know. He said we quit while we were still hot, but people wanted to pursue other ventures. But I could see that. Cosby Show had, how long they had it run? 6, 7 years? And The Simpsons was on fire. I could see that. That's good TV. MK Ultra said, I heard that a few episodes of The Cosby Show had a quarter of the US population watching. That's crazy. For a short time, they brought a lot of the country together. R.I.P. Malcolm. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. It was a great show. Uh, let's see. Nev Ed says he didn't bite the bat on purpose. A fan threw it at him. He thought it was a fake toy bat. Oh, I don't know. Um, Crusher Blackwell says, since Chill Wop G was down with Flavor Unit, will you ever get another Flavor Unit soldiers like Queen Latifah, Shakim Tresh, and Nikki D on your show anytime soon? That would be dope. I haven't spoken to Queen Latifah in probably 20 something years. Or Shakim. Haven't seen either one of them. I saw Tretch a few years ago. That's the homie. Be great to get Tretch on. Shout out to Nikki D. That's the homie too. Yeah, that'd be dope. I don't have their info, but let's see. Um, I see people talking about. I'm still so far behind. I'm gonna scroll all the way down further. I hate that I missed all of these comments, but I hate that I'm missing all these comments, y'all. But I go back and look at them later. But trying to stay up with you guys, I'm falling super behind. So I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna jump to about 15 minutes ago. Let's see what was going on. I'm only 15 minutes behind. Um, Orrin Hamilton says sex and violence was and still is the joint. Thank you. I did a whole sex and violence breakdown on this channel. You could check it out. Please check it out for those that didn't see it. I go through the whole sex and violence story as I remember it. Red says Tarasi, my women's goat. I see people talking about Ari Spears and Ice Cube. I didn't get to see who said what. Ice Cube was one of my favorite artists of all time. Ari Spears, Ari Spears seems like he just goes at people randomly. I don't know what Ice Cube has done for this culture. I don't even see what you be saying about him, but I didn't see what he said. So King Reg Music was just Ice on Freeze Records. No, he was on Sleeping Bag. The same people that owned Sleeping Bag eventually started Freeze Records. So Sleeping Bag and Freeze Records are the same people. And they had a couple different labels. They had Sam Records, Sleeping Bag, Freeze, a few of them. Def Rocker says, I think if Big L was still alive, he would be bigger than Biggie and Jay-Z. I don't know about that. He would have to make a lot of pop records. I don't know if Big L was making, I've never heard a pop Big L record. To be bigger than Biggie and Jay-Z, you would have to make a lot of radio songs. I don't know if Big L, has he ever made a radio record, especially when he was alive? Terrence Hill says, Nas sound like G-Rap. First Pro says, Nas sounds nothing like G-Rap. You know what, uh, JT says, Corey Flood back trolling you again, KP. I think that's his one per week effort. You know what? I'm starting to believe that. But I believe everyone's opinion is correct. That's their opinion. That's the reason why I put him up, to get a contrasting opinion. I don't know if Corey Flood really believes that, or he's just saying stuff on here. I'm not going to say he's a troll. I'm going to say that's his opinion. But maybe I'm falling for the troll, because I don't know. I see a lot of people defending Nas. A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people defending Nas. I'm not even gonna go that deep in it. Um, Bill Blast, salute. Uh, Mike Rock says the Cosby Show made HBCUs popular in the Black community. Um, I think they made it more aware for people that weren't aware that there were HBCUs. And HBCUs are named after white folk. Yeah. Um, Cosby Show definitely, because the setting of A Different World, I believe, was at a HBCU, right? Definitely did a lot to show, just showing Black kids going to college. There's hundreds of thousands of black, is it hundred? Maybe I'm gonna say hundreds of thousands of black kids in college. You just don't see it. Just no one shows that. They just show twerking and violence all the time. I mean, it's that too, but that is like this percentage, man. I think I mentioned this before. I'm gonna mention it real quick in case you didn't see. Live with Deacon says, "Hey Kenny, what's good? I really, if ever, hear you talk about rock and roll music. I do believe you mean heavy metal type music. What are some of your rock favorites, and where do you rank Black Sabbath, R.I.P. Ozzy Osbourne? Like I mentioned before, I never listened to heavy metal at all. Only reason I know Ozzy Osbourne is in Black Sabbath, I don't even know how I know that. I know a couple records when I DJ certain parties and I gotta throw on some rock records. I know like a few that I could throw on and stuff that people sampled. But outside of that, like AC/DC, I know Back in Black only because of the sample. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know that at all. That is one genre that I know absolutely nothing about. I can't rank Black Sabbath. I can't tell you anything. um, um, This is wild. Terrell McMillan says, KP, did you know that Heavy D, You Can't See What I Can See was actually a diss record going at CL Smooth? What? CL actually said it on a podcast. What? That was one of my favorite Heavy D records. I got to go back and listen to that. Because there's a lot of records that subliminally go at other artists and we never knew for decades. I'm sure there's a lot of subliminals thrown around. I know that was an actual whole thing. I'm gonna listen to that. As soon as we get off, I'm gonna go listen to that because I really gotta hear that again. I love that song. Um Mel says Andre Harrell brought Mr. Big Stuff to Russell and he said that it was too poppy for Def Jam. I could see that. Let's see. That was 86, 87, 86, 87. Who was on Def Jam in 86? LL, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy was new. I mean, the Beastie Boys had a couple of, too poppy for Def Jam. I don't know. LL was about to come with he was about to come with I'm Bad and um I Need Love. That was right on the horizons. I don't know if I'm not gonna argue with Russell, but looking back, I don't know. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm looking for some comments before we got out of here, some questions. Um, Verse Pro, what up? Um, People just throwing out random stuff. BMF. I never watched any of those shows. Orin Hamilton says Top Boy was good, KP. I thought Top Boy was great, all three of them. Um, that's the last thing I watched. MMA says it was Roseanne that started to eat into the Cosby Show's ratings. I could see that. That was a huge show. I mean, every show, everything has its run. Cosby Show had a long run, and like they say, when you're number one, there's nowhere else to go but down. Um, I could see Roseanne digging into these. Are all huge shows. Um, Blues Review says, I think G-Rap didn't sell because there were too many other dope MCs on Cold Chillin' at that time. I don't know, because you you talking, what are you talking, 89? Or you talking 90 or 92? Like, he dropped multiple albums. G-Rap didn't sell big plaques type sales because I don't think he had commercial records like that. G-Rap was almost regional. Like, outside of New York, G-Rap was not that big. You need, in order to sell big numbers, you need big singles that play across the country. Unless you're somebody like, NWA or somebody who had no record play and sold 2 million, but even they had big records that played everywhere. It just wasn't on mainstream radio. I mean, I don't know why G-Rap didn't sell. It's a great question. Cosby Show had 8 years. That's a long time. That is a long, long time. They might have declined even if another show didn't dig into their ratings. It's just at some point things get old and it's time for something new. Except for The Simpsons, apparently. um, let's see. Somebody said Friends was on 10 years. Jason Wall says TLC was calling us scrubs while they were bankrupt. That is true. Because they got like 20 cents a record. Record sells for $10 and you get 20 cents. Hell yeah, you're going to be bankrupt. Everybody on that label is bankrupt. Tony Braxton was bankrupt too. Music business is horrible, y'all. Booze Review says a lot of the comments you miss are just in talk, KP. Yeah, I know people be having their own personal conversations on here, which is great. But every once in a while, you dig in there, you see a comment or a question that I can answer. I like this comment right here. I wish I could end on this, but I'm not. But Flourishing One says Bill Cosby is a great example of the fact that the line between good and evil runs through the hearts of each of us. Choose well, and it's never too late to do the right things. Yeah, I mean, unless you off somebody, it probably never is too late to do the right thing. And you're right, good and evil runs through the hearts of each of us. Choose well. This is a great. Um, is this your original quote, Floetry One? This is great. This should be on like some kind of quotable or something. I like how this reads. I would leave it at that, but we got like 2 minutes. So I'm gonna scroll all the way to the bottom and see what's going on. I might try to come back to, I can't come back. There's like, sheesh. I just jumped 50 comments. I'm at the very bottom. Spook Realm said, "Oh, this is lower self versus higher self." Yeah, though Spook Realm says, "I don't know, Benny. Benny is funny. I just know that the name Black Sabbath is based on a massacre that occurred in Ireland on a Sunday when Catholics ambushed Protestants while at church." I didn't know that. Um, that's not good. Derek Franks, hey yo, Kenny, who do you think would have shined more, Big L or Big Pun? Or what do you mean by shined? Um, they're both dope lyricists. I think if you look at where Pun's musically was headed, and you look at Fat Joe, where he was going with making records with R. Kelly and making records with Ashanti, I believe um they were on a trajectory to go more commercial, Big Pun. I don't know if Big L was on that trajectory. He might have woke up one day and be like, yo, I need to sell some records. I'm about to flip it. But I believe Pun would have sold more records. He did. His first album went double platinum. I believe Pun would have sold more records because I believe he would have went in that direction. So you have to choose to go in that direction. John Dixon, do you consider G-Rap a gangster rapper? Kind of. What do you call it? Mafioso rap? He said he pioneered that. Yeah, I would. I mean, that term gangster rap is a vague term, but yes, I would. Marquis says Coogee Rap got a song called Break a Bitch Neck. Yeah, he does. It was dope too. Lyrically, G Rap is always gonna say something dope. I'm at the very bottom. Um, and it's 9:30. We passed the time. Um, Big up to the Rewind crew who's gonna check this out later on. Um, for those that don't know, this is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God willing, we will be here on Friday, 8 o'clock. Uh, between then and now, I will put up another beat and I'm going to try to do an epic fail. I haven't had a time to record them. I'm going to try to do an epic fail in between that time, too. Um, yeah. I'm gonna put up another beat. I'm gonna do epic fail, and I will see you guys on Friday. I see somebody wrote, "Who would you rather fight, Anthony Mason or Charles Oakley?" That's scary. That's scary, man. That's scary. I think I'd rather fight Charles Oakley because Mason looked like he's a little quicker. So if you start losing to Oakley, you try to run. I think I could outrun Charles Oakley. I think Mason could chase you down too. James Thomas Jr., thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says Bill ended the show on top after 8 years. Theo graduation was the last show. Yeah, I thought that they were pretty. I don't know if they were number one, but they were still doing very well after 8 years. But I could see where things run its course. But like I said, I saw Malcolm-Jamal Warner says we were still hot when the show ended, but we chose to end it. One of the greatest shows of all time. And once again, RIP Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Hip hop community, we love you, we appreciate you, and we will miss you. But you'll never be forgotten. You left a body of work here on this earth that will never be forgotten. Rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. And the whole, I guess it's heavy metal. I don't know what to really call it, but uh, to that community, to those that love heavy metal, that's a gigantic loss. And hopefully we don't lose anybody else this week. Um, I think I'm gonna leave it on here. MK Ultra says, we will be here forever. Do you understand? Forever. Forever and ever and ever, we will be here. I love that on the Return of the Boom Bap album, and because he said it, it will be here because he put it out there like that. That line and his voice will be here forever. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna jump off. Cutie Pie 509, you just jumping in late. What's your story? Latrice Washington, what up? All right, I'm out of here. I will catch you guys on Friday. Let me see if I can make this small so I can check out. I cannot make it small. Oh, here we go. Got my fingers all in your face. My hand is in your face. Oh, okay. I'm just rambling right now. All right, y'all. Peace. I'll catch you guys, please, on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.